What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I just got through watching a video with Joel Diaz. Joel Diaz is, the former fighter, now renowned trainer. He's popular for training, the famous Diaz brothers, along with Timothy Bradley, Desert Storm Bradley. He's trained countless other fighters too and other champions. He made a statement that really got my eyebrows rising about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. He was stating that, he worked with Terence Crawford for 4 months in two different camps and prepared Timothy Bradley for, a couple of his fights. And since he saw him, he's seen something special. A lot of fighters have potential, but then there's some fighters that are special. And he said Terence Crawford is that special fighter. You know what I'm saying? And, I have to agree with him. But before I counterpunch, let me go on to, to say what he explained. I'll put the link, of course, in the description box. He went on to explain why. You know what I mean? Terence Crawford has more ability, mobility. He can switch stances. He has a better ring IQ. Whereas Errol Spence is more flat-footed because he has to land those power shots. And, and Errol Spence, is a good fighter, but he doesn't see Errol Spence beating Terence Crawford. Beating Garcia, yeah. Beating Keith Thurman, that'll be a good fight, but Terence Crawford, that'll be the fight that he would lose. And, end quote. Let me counterpunch this. I agree with Joel Diaz. I agree 100%. A lot of people think that size matters. Size does matter a lot of times, but it's not the only defining factor, just like power ain't. Power is not the only defining factor of a fight, okay? If that was the case, anyone with power would win. It's not. It's more to it. It's a mental game. Back to what Joel Diaz said, Terence Crawford breaks you down mentally first, like he did Benavidez, okay? And then after that, he surely follows, and it's more of a timing. His timing of his punches. He doesn't have to hit harder as hard as Errol Spence. It's his timing. A timed punch will knock anyone out. A punch you don't see will knock you spark out right away. So that's one thing people need to understand and acknowledge. A lot of people debate, you have the Errol Spence fans and the Terence Crawford fans. I'm not against Errol Spence at all. My problem with Errol Spence, I've done a video on this, but I'm going to just touch just a bit. He's just really untested. He's still an untested fighter. You know what I'm saying? And then he expects to get this A-side treatment and, because I'm a welterweight and, that has nothing to do with it. He started in this division and look where he's gone in the division. He had to crawl before he could walk, and now he's walking thinking he's running, and he's still walking, honestly. He's not done the things that he's supposed to do. Look at his last opponents, okay? And then you look at Terence Crawford's. His last opponent was Ocampo, right? Okay, Terence Crawford's last opponent was Benavidez, Jose Benavidez. Match those two guys up, and that'll ask your question, right? Who else did he fight? He fought Chris Algieri. All right, Chris Algieri was another opponent that Errol Spence beat him convincingly, knocked him out. Great win. Who was match him against an opponent, a common opponent Terence Crawford had at 140, because Chris Algieri is really a 140-pound fighter, right? He just came from 140. He fought Provandakov, Ruslan at 140. He's a 140-pound fighter. That's where he's fighting back, because he's coming back and he's fighting at 140 pounds. Okay. Match him up with Postol. And actually, honestly, that'll be a good fight. I think that would be Postol. I don't know who would win that fight, but Postol was the guy that did retire Matisse. You know what I mean? And Kell Brook is really the only person on his resume that, that really pretty much sticks out. But who did Kell Brook beat? He beat Sean Porter. You know what I mean? So, and then then the only people to beat Sean Porter are people that he has never faced. So it really doesn't hold water in his argument. That's the best person he's fought, which has been beaten twice by him and a bigger guy named Golovkin. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't, Errol Spence is still a work in progress. He has not arrived. That's my problem with him. He's walking around talking about, I'm going to crush this person. I'll stop Golovkin. I'm going to go up there and beat Canelo. Look, first of all, he has a lot of fights to go through. He has to fight the Porters, the Danny Garcias, and ultimately he has to get into the ring with Terence Crawford, but I do agree with Joel Diaz, because Joel knows his stuff and he's seen this guy firsthand, and someone like Errol Spence will get into the ring with that person that will give him problems, that you can't just set up traps and cut off the ring, and land those punches to the body. And he's already been dared to do that by Terence Crawford. Oh, don't try to go to the body. Remember that? He told him what he better not do. So he'd already dared him not to do that. So that means Terence Crawford has an answer for that confidently. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. And Errol Spence knows that is the fight for him to make. Certain fights evolve for certain reasons. Yeah, Keith Thurman doesn't want any Errol Spence. Sean Porter really don't either. Danny Garcia, they really don't either. They were sitting on the land and the island of PBC, chilling and making money off their father god, Al Heyman. That's how it was until these guys eventually fought one another, and it took them 2 or 3 fights of them making money for them to even get into the ring. You know what I mean? Now, one out of all these guys have fought each other. Danny Garcia has fought Sean Porter, and he's fought Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman has fought Sean Porter, and he's fought Danny Garcia. You know what I mean? But besides that, other than that, sure, Keith Thurman beat them both. But that still remains other players in the game that are reluctant to get in the ring with the new kids on the block. And the new kids on the block was Errol Spence, and now it's Terence Crawford. And the oldest new kid on the block refused to get in there with the youngest new kid on the block. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's going on. So, these guys are getting accepted into the island of the PBC. They're getting residents, and when they get residents of the PBC, they are reluctant to fight the new kids on the block. That's what I'm saying. But Errol Spence knows where fighters like this, trainers, give their analysis on fighters based on skill, based on, other attributes. That raises an eyebrow like it raised mine. That's why we're talking about this, because Terence Crawford is the guy that will shut everyone down at welterweight if they would fight him. Now he's got that, he's coming in through the window by fighting I said all these names. Now what's his name from Brooklyn? Collazo, right? So, and he's a PBC fighter, advised fighter. So yeah, this is looking very interesting for the welterweight division. So I look forward to seeing who's going to actually win. Will this fight get made? But I do agree with Joel Diaz. And you guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.